has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast.
It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible, hanging out the bad seed, the broken, the bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion shake-it-up should do me, along with the Tutty and Tater King himself, the Put It With the Golf guru, the founder of the Aisle Seat podcast, and the rights holder for the Sheet of Integrity. It's Carver High this afternoon, ladies. Mafia running it along with Luke. I am your father. The rundown on a Terrible Towel Tuesday. We've got a double shot with Morency this very hour, plus within these walls of the first hour, Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News. And then later, in the final hour today, the coup de grace, Denny Elvis Bernstein from the fourth period and NHL radio on Sirius XM, all today on C2C. Well, everything's been going horribly in Dallas since they traded Luka Doncic to the Lakers. Everything's coming up roses for LA. Everything's going down the toilet for the Mavs. And last night, Mike, seeing Kyrie Irving blow out his ACL in that game and carried off the floor after he shot his 2 free throws, you knew that was the end game right there for their season. His ACL tear confirmed. He's done. They're done. They've lost everybody on this team. You name it. What player? I mean, AD, Lively. I mean, they got every guy on the team is injured. And then to lose Kyrie Irving is, to me, the kiss of death.
It really is the kiss of death. And yes, happy Tuesday here with you on C2C as we get ourselves rolling. That was a tough one because it's been such a weird couple of months for the Mavs, obviously with the Luka trade, all their bigs getting hurt. And now you kind of throw this on top of the pile. I know that we had thought that, they'd be able to kind of ride this out a little bit with Kyrie carrying the mail. And if he could just get him into that play-in tournament, get AD and the other guys back around April, and then maybe you can make a little bit of a run. Those hopes, I think, though, Scotty, are now down the drain. Those hopes for them.
A shot. They don't have anyone that can play that position the way he does. And if they would have had him and all of the bigs and everyone healthy and Washington and you name it on this team, you're talking about a lethal, dangerous combination of size and skill and speed. I mean, this guy, Kyrie Irving, is unguardable. He is, to me, the best ankle-breaking, one-on-one ISO player in the league. I know people would say it's Shai Gilgeous now because he's going to win the MVP. But as far as I'm concerned, he's never been the type of ISO player that Kyrie Irving is. I just think Shai Gilgeous is an awesome player that gets his, meal every night served up. He gets his, he eats, and he does whatever he wants. Like, they give him the ball so much. Kyrie Irving creates like no other and attacks like no other, and I think breaks ankles like no other in the NBA. And I think, frankly, that Luka Doncic had the best time of his career playing with Kyrie Irving. I think that was the most fun he's ever had until he got to LA, and now he's playing with LeBron James and Austin Reeves, et cetera, Connect, et cetera, Hachimura, et cetera. So, look, to lose this guy, they're done. Put a fork in him. I thought when Jimmy Lymphoma left the Heat in stitches, he left them in rags. The bloodletting he left behind in Miami, I thought that ruined their team. They've blown more leads this year than any team in the NBA. They're not going anywhere. And now you got this situation where, Nico Harrison really, he dug this grave himself for his own franchise. I mean, he did it. He made all this go to motion, and now it's all falling apart. And to lose that guy is literally, that's the end game right there.
It is the end game. And you know, the hard part also is, you know, that's like, it's almost like next year's out the window too, right? You know,
And
obviously nowadays it's like 6 to 9, you know, it's 6 to 9 months. Some are 9 to 12 months, but like, he's 32 years old. You know, we went through a lot of this stuff with Durant when he had all his injuries, and it's tough to get back to that same level when you have these tough injuries, especially at this
Kobe
moment in their
Bryant
career.
is the shining example of that. Like watching him try to come back from that Achilles tear. I don't care what anybody says. You know, he did come back. It took forever. And I just think that, now look, this guy is a freak athlete. I think he will play basketball again, and I think he'll be good again. I think that he'll always be good. But frankly, he'll never be the same player after they reconstruct his knee. I don't care what anybody says. No one's ever the same after an Achilles tear either. Aaron Rodgers sure isn't. And I frankly don't think that Kobe Bryant was either.
So we have that, of course. We'll do the rest of the NBA from last night and tonight. You've got some good ones this evening that we are going to talk about.
Did you see that
Warriors
game last night, Mike? That Atlanta comeback?
Unbelievable. That was a wild game.
I was watching. They put it on NBA TV.
The Great Barrier Thief had that steal in the final seconds that led to that bucket. We'll hear that later on. That was a wild game last night, that's for sure. SGA had another 50-piece. We'll talk about that too. So Warriors Knicks tonight at the Garden. You've got a couple of good ones. The Lakers have the Pelicans in town, so we'll do all the NBA later. We have a huge night tonight of college rack. I mean, there are some great games tonight in college basketball that we will go through. Auburn's at Texas A&M. You've got BYU, Iowa State. We've got a lot of small conference tournament games. We've got some Horizon tonight. We have got some Patriot. We've got some Sun Belt.
You got it all.
So lots of conference tournaments. Huge night of rack.
Yeah, you got it all for sure. And I love it. I mean, now there's, you know, to me, there's no difference. I understand people get excited about the heavyweight conference tournaments that are going to be, you know, in the next couple of weeks. And then there's Selection Sunday. But these tournaments are the same thing. To me, they're just great. Whenever you say, you know, winner take all, loser go home, and there's no more life after, you know, you lose, that's tournament time to me. When you play, you know, one-off games, it's great no matter what conference it is. Horizon, Patriot, I don't care what it is, A-Sun. I mean, I'll take all of them. I love all of them.
They're playing for their lives, these small conferences. They're all one-bid leagues mostly, and this is it. Only one team can go to the big dance, and it's a lot of fun. So lots of college rack today. I've got NFL news for you. Barkley got a huge extension today from the Eagles. Going to be the highest-paid running back, first running back to make $20+ million a year. So Barkley gets rewarded handsomely for his season in Philadelphia, which was outstanding, capped off by a Super Bowl win. The Jets cut abs, man, that took a while, right? I guess there weren't any teams calling them back to trade for that $37 million cap hit, I guess. I guess not. So the Jets released Adams. So lots of NFL. And I'm watching the Champions League, round of 16, first leg. Real Madrid already on the board with a Rodrigo goal against Atletico. So we have that. Dortmund's playing this afternoon. You've got a couple. Arsenal's playing as well. So round of 16 Champions League for you today, too.
I'm not going through that again, trying to get it on the TV in here. I've already failed in that bid. I'm done with that. So you can have your Champions League. I'll just sit here and focus on the show. You let me know who's scoring.
Hopefully Mbappe and Julian Alvarez and a couple others that I played here this afternoon. So hopefully those guys are going to be scoring for us as we move along. So there you go. Very full slate.
The Eagles got it done. If you back them, you're celebrating. Football season may be over, but the action never stops.
Are you ready for some baseball?
At SportsGrid, we're always in the game. We bring you 24/7 betting insights, expert picks, and real-time analysis. Next big play is already in motion. Are you ready? It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. But I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
So you can catch Sports Rage weeknights at 10 Eastern along all of our TV and radio outlets on SportsGrid TV, SportsGrid Radio. You can catch Morency on Coast to Coast every day from British Columbia. Thank God for that. So I wanted to ask you about this Sanders kid who we've all been watching at Colorado with his dad as his PR and coach. And they've been selling him as this, generational quarterback. And then in the last, day or two, I've seen him stock falling the New York Stock Exchange the last couple of days with all the tariffs. I saw this guy today, literally, people have him fallen all the way down, literally to the end of the first round. Do you believe all that, or are you still in the camp that says he's going to go early?
Yeah, I'm not buying all this stuff, Scott. There's still a ways to go before the draft. Deion Sanders actually talked about this, called in, was a guest on Shador's podcast, and he told him, get ready to get smeared right before the draft. This is what they're doing. I mean, I don't really understand. Put it this way. He didn't work out, Scott, at the combine. So what did he do that's been so terrible?
Right.
What has changed? He didn't play. So what is so
Maybe
different?
Maybe it was because he talked and everybody thought he was too cocky when he did his presser at the combine.
Yeah, I know. No, so the one guy that stood up for another quarterback who said, you guys all ripping Will Howard, the guy won a national championship, right? I thought that showed his character. And in fact, I heard that a lot of teams were blown away by his maturity. They were like, yeah, you can tell who his father is, and he's ready to play in the NFL. I think people have, for whatever reason, and at least the media has decided this, that Cam Ward is the better pick. I'm not so sure about that, Scott.
I don't even think he's the better quarterback.
If you look at Shador Sanders, I know you're a Canes fan, so you saw Cam Ward play. He's really, really good.
I saw him melt down.
Yeah, but you saw him turn the football over a lot, right?
And melt down.
He does. You saw him melt down, and you also saw him play with a great offensive line, a ton of talent around him. Shedeur Sanders, bro, really hasn't had a lot of talent around him. Like, he's played with, like, the Colorado Buffalo offensive line was one of the worst O-lines in college football.
Yeah.
And Shedeur Sanders literally drops back. And has to, and he has to decide in like 1.2 seconds. All right, I'm going to go here. And he did. And he got lit up, Scott. Like, there were times where Shedeur got, like, smoked. He just popped right back up. He'd pat the guy on the back that hit him and just keep going. Like, he's tough. And all he's done is won, right? He won games when he was playing with his father. And then they said, oh, well, we'll see when they step it up to the, the big league level. Well, he moved the ball again, right? I mean, yeah, they didn't win the national championship, but Colorado were a one-win team, guys. Let's not forget this. They literally won like 3 games in 3 years, the Colorado Buffaloes. He put them on the map, and you had Travis Hunter. Horn was a good wide receiver. There were a couple of good skill position players, but the O-line was bad. The defense was bad. He was in tough. I like quarterbacks, Scott. It's almost like being a goalie in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. You see like 60 shots a game. Yeah, you might give up 4 or 5 goals, but you get to the NHL after, and you're only seeing 22 shots, and suddenly you're only giving up 2 goals. Right? Like, I think Shedeur Sanders is battle-tested, Scott. I think he'd be a perfect fit for the New York Giants with the 3rd pick, personally. And I think they're going to do it if he's there. He's not falling like everyone says.
There's a lot of talk about, that I've been hearing and seeing and reading about that they're actually the legit team to trade up to the number 1 spot. And I've heard... here in New York, they've been talking for the last 3 days that they're actually dumb enough to get Aaron Rodgers, and I'm sure you've seen that. But today I saw that they would trade up and get Cam Ward at number 1. And I'm just thinking to myself, the one guy throws 73%, the other guy throws 67%. That's a giant disparity to me. I think the kid Sanders is way more exciting than Ward. I like Ward. I thought he was really good. But, Georgia Tech fumble, whoops. Syracuse, whoops. Bowl game, whoops. They were talking national championship in Coral Gables. They didn't even get in the playoff. So it's stunning to me that I'm hearing the Giants are going to go number 1, and their big splash is going to be Cam Ward. Are you buying that?
And one thing I'll say, too, about Cam Ward, and I like him, all right? I'm not sitting here trying to take him down.
He's talented.
At the same point in time, the year before, where was he? He was with the Washington Cougars, Washington State Cougars. He had a great year. They also had a great year this year without him. Like, they plugged in a new quarterback, and in fact, a couple of quarterbacks that ended up winning 10 games and putting up a ton of points.
They weren't bad in that 2-team Pac-12.
Yeah, the Pac-2. But look at Michigan. They had J.J. McCarthy. They won the national championship. Yeah, they lost players, but you'll notice without the quarterback play, Michigan suddenly had problems last year, right? So I'm just stating, Cam Ward's really good, but is he a franchise quarterback that makes the team better, or is he part of a good football team?
He's going to get drafted like he is.
Yeah, like he's going to end up with the Cleveland Browns. I would assume that's how it's going to play. Abdul Carter goes first overall.
The Athletic today reported that they did an NFL mock draft today, their first, and they said that Sanders would go to the Steelers at 21. And I'm like, he's going way before that. You're tripping.
That's not happening.
I mean, you are tripping.
That's not happening.
Bo Nix
went 12 last year.
I think they're tripping. Like 21, like you're not getting any good player at 21. You're getting some. To me, 21 is offensive, defensive line. You're not getting some superstar college football player.
This is an unpredictable draft, though. It is. And Jackson Dart has worked his way into the first round as well. So Jackson Dart could be like last year's Bo Nix that gets drafted a lot higher than people think. But I'm not buying that the sky is falling on Shedeur Sanders right now, Scott. I believe that I think he's going to go 3rd to the New York Giants. I don't think the Giants are insane enough to sign Aaron Rodgers.
Wow, it really is unbelievable. Coming up at Lambeau in Green Bay, that's where the draft is this year. Next year, it's in Pittsburgh. We got another shot with our boy Morency coming up on C2C.
The Eagles got it done. If you back them, you're celebrating. Football season may be over, but the action never stops.
Are you ready for some baseball?
At SportsGrid, we're always in the game. We bring you 24/7 betting insights, expert picks, and real-time analysis. Next big play is already in motion. Are you ready? It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. But I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
So, Gabe, you and I have over the years talked a lot about Pete Rose on this show. And again, I'm going to go back to the well. Carver High always said that he would get in when he's dead. And now you see what's brewing with regards to Pete Rose and Trump and saying he'll pardon him and he's got to get him into the Hall of Fame. And that Manfred is looking at for the family, the feasibility of it happening. Do you believe now that more than ever that it's going to happen? Because you and I both agree, I think, that he should be in the Hall of Fame just as a player. I don't care about his gambling. All I know is that when I grew up, I've never seen anyone play like that in my life. Like, I was just after Roberto Clemente, right? You understand? So you and I both are in that age where we saw Pete Rose play baseball, and he was an effing freak.
He's the winningest player of all time. Like, if you combine how many games he's played, people talk about his hits, but you combine the games that he won as a manager and you combine the games he won as a player, nobody won more baseball games in his life than Pete Rose. You go down this road of it's the Hall of Fame, it's a baseball Hall of Fame. It's not a people Hall of Fame, right? Like, honestly, the betting is like the least of his character flaws. Let's be real, right? So it's if you look at, his accomplishments, but, I can't help but think, Scott, like, it's okay, you pardon him from what? Like, he didn't get criminally charged with betting on baseball. Like, so you pardon him for what? Like, I don't want to get like too graphic, but okay.
But he's doing all these executive orders and pardon and all this other nonsense.
Well, he thinks he's a king. So what? He's going to sign a thing and force him into the Hall of Fame. So my deal is, okay, will the Veterans Committee put him in, Scott? Because I'll tell you right now, this is where I want to go with this. Why isn't Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame? Why isn't Roger Clemens in the Hall of Fame? They should be.
Of course.
I mean, you could say, well, Pete Rose, despite the betting and his character flaws, was a great baseball player. Well, Barry Bonds already had like 550 freaking home runs before his head got bigger, right? Like, Roger, you tell me Roger Clemens isn't a Hall. Like, How the hell is Kurt Schilling not in?
Right.
So, like, my whole point is, and Kurt Schilling never got caught, like, never took drugs either.
They just think he's a whack job.
They just don't like him. Yeah, you don't like his political views. I don't agree with his political views, but it's not the Hall of Fame of political views.
That's right.
It's the Hall of Fame of pitching and hitting, right? And, like, you know, you going to take O.J. Simpson out? You know, that's my whole deal, too. It's like you get into this judging stuff. Like, you judge the character and, you know, don't throw the first stone, glass houses and all this.
Right.
But I can't help but think, okay, you can part him. And even if you're Rob Manfred, you can, like, reinstate him. But it doesn't mean that a bunch of people that vote for the Hall of Fame are suddenly going to vote for him. Right? So I guess the Hall of Fame Veterans Committee, they would be the ones. Like, these people, they don't put Schilling in. They're not putting, like, they're not, and also they're not going to be bullied by Trump to do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying the Baseball Hall of Fame wouldn't be bullied into doing it, right? I don't think they want to do it, but I don't think the media would. But I don't think the media would have anything to do with it now. I guess it would be the Veterans Committee.
I think that Veterans Committee would. I mean, they put the Cobra in. I mean, they put a lot of guys in that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
But then after that, then you got to put A-Rod in, right? I mean, how is Alex Rodriguez not Hall of Fame?
Listen, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. He was a great player. You know, what he did well before the Yankees, I would put him in the Hall of Fame for just what he did with Seattle.
Yeah, he was one of the greatest players ever. So we get into this, wow, you know, he took this once or that. And
so what?
The biggest double standard is, too, like, who cares? Everybody in the 70s was doing, like, 8 balls of blow in the dugout.
And uppers.
Like, yeah, like, so, all right.
Just so they could make it on the field.
Yeah, you're going to kick them all out? Like, wow, you guys were on this. And in the 60s, they were on speed and caffeinated whatever, dude. Like,
Keith Hernandez did everything, and he admits it, and they treat him like he's a god in baseball.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What I don't also understand is, like, so Canseco's another one. Canseco and McGuire can't get into the Hall of Fame, but Tony La Russa gets into the Hall of Fame for winning World Series is because of these guys hitting home runs.
Right.
Like, there's so no, you two can't get in, but the guy that was sitting there
he did a lot more managing past Oakland that would get him into the Hall of Fame.
You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm with you.
The Eagles got it done. If you back them, you're celebrating. Football season may be over, but the action never stops.
Are you ready for some baseball?
At SportsGrid, we're always in the game. We bring you 24/7 betting insights, expert picks, and real-time analysis. Next big play is already in motion. Are you ready? It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. But I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show only on SportsGrid.
Always love having Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News on Coast to Coast every week, and you can catch him as well on Fox Sports with basketball, college style, and the Big Ten Network. He's obviously on the take for the Hoosiers. We'll talk about them in a minute. They got a big game tonight in Eugene, but I want to start with this. You have in your Dirty Dozen the St. John's Red Storm at 9. Can you explain that to me? Because frankly, I think, and I don't give me that funny face, Mike.
I'm trying to figure out where you're going with this.
Well, where I'm going is that I think that I think Duke and Houston. I'll give you Tennessee, and for me, St. John's are the 4 best defensive teams in America. And I they got them ranked 6th in that crappy AP poll, but I want to know how in God's name they could possibly be 9 on yours.
Well, they do play offense in basketball. That is a part of the equation.
They win every game they play.
I realize that, but they're not exactly in the most powerful Big East of all time. Let's not forget that. I mean, this is not the Big East of Patrick Ewing and Eddie Pinckney and Jerome Lane and those guys. It's a little bit less daunting than that. And it's a league that St. John's is doing a wonderful job to dominate, and I think they're doing an amazing job to build this dominance with their struggles as a three-point shooting team. I'm a huge admirer of what they've been able to accomplish. But in measuring them against some of the teams from the other conferences, I mean, we're looking at St. John's right now as only having 3 quad 1 wins at this point. And they've only played 7 such games to this point, which tells you a lot about the power of the Big East in this particular season, or the lack thereof.
Can you explain to me how you have Kentucky in this 12-pack? I don't think they're that good at all. I don't think they're not. To me, they're not even good.
Oh, they're good, and
no,
you can see that. Okay, so then how did they score 100 points like 7 times this year? It's
how
a very
good
team.
How did they get beat at Rupp Arena like regularly? My team, my rec team, could give them a game.
Well, they got beat by Auburn, which is having one of the greatest regular seasons of all time. They got beat by Alabama, which is on my 1 seed line as well, and that was a very, very close game in which Alabama played offensively as well as they can play. Kentucky's not a great defensive team. They've improved since the first Bama game. They're still not great. But I think one of the things to remember about Kentucky is that they have been banged around by injuries more than any other significant team. They've already lost Jackson Robinson for the year. That'll be a blow. But the real problem has been Lamont Butler's absence. I think he's missed 8 games now in 2 different stints. And that's really knocked them back. They don't have another point guard. They lost Kirk Kriisa way back in December. I've never seen him ruled out for the season, but he still hasn't returned. And they only have 1 point guard now, and that's Lamont, and he's missed 8 games. So Kentucky at their best is a terrific team. And what you're seeing a lot over the course of the past month is not Kentucky at their best.
So we've seen Wisconsin lose a couple of tough games here recently, but I still, as I've mentioned to you before, I love their guard play. I like that team. Can they get right in time for the NCAAs? I think they'll be fine in the Big Ten tournament. They're not right at this current night, going into tonight. To me, they haven't been playing well the last 2 weeks. Can they get it right?
I think one of the things that Wisconsin's been disadvantaged is the schedule has been weighted a little bit against them. Out of the 8 most difficult games that they've played, I think the number is 8. They've played 5 of those on the road. Their schedule has been a little bit skewed to the road. It's not, back in the day when you had an even split and you went home and road in a league, you got a chance to play everybody home and road. So all the games that were difficult would be split up in the same way, but it's not the case now. And it just happened that in this particular year, the teams that turned out to be better, Wisconsin played a lot of them on the road, and that affected their high-end performance. But what they haven't done at Wisconsin is when they get into a game they're supposed to win, they haven't lost. They've lost only one of those all year long, and that was a game against Oregon, which is very good. And they had a huge lead. They just happened to blow it. Every other game that they've played in what we call quad 2, quad 3, quad 4, the progressively less challenging games, they win. They've done it every time except that Oregon game. And Oregon's barely a quad 2 game. They're a terrific team. They're going to be a 6 seed or 7 seed in the NCAAs. No shame to lose it, but certainly a shame to lose after you've had a 17-point lead.
So you live, and I won't say where, but how many Bobby Moe games have you gone to?
I have not gone to any, unfortunately. I wanted to get to one a few weeks ago. Oh, ever? Yeah, I've been to games. I thought you meant this season. Yeah, I've been to games before.
But you've been there. But so they have a great basketball program there. They really do. I mean, for a small school outside of Pittsburgh, don't they? And frankly, I remember growing up, and Duquesne always sucked, and they're not bad either.
Well, the Robert Morris had a great history started by Matt Furjanic back in the late 70s, early 80s, and they made the NCAAs then. And they've had very good coaches there at times. Mark Schmidt, who's now doing such a wonderful job at St. Bonaventure, began his head coaching career there. Danny Nee was a coach there for a while. And the coach they have now, Andy Toole, who's been there for well more than a decade, has had great success there. Honestly, a little surprised. I mean, there have been down years. It's the nature of that sort of job, but he's done well enough in most of circumstances that I'm surprised that someone hasn't come after him at this point. I think he's really good, and this Robert Morris team is outstanding. Now, of course, they have to go win the Horizon League tournament, and there's some other outstanding teams in that tournament. Cleveland State, principally, but also Fort Wayne is very good. It'll be a tough challenge for them to win that conference tournament, and those finals in the Horizon League are always battles. I've been to a few of those as well, and they are really good basketball games. It'll be a tough one for them to win it.
So let's talk about Indiana tonight. They play in Eugene. They've won 3 in a row, 4 of 5. He could actually take him to the NCAA tournament 3 of the 4 years he was there, and he'll be obviously gone at the end of the season because they told him they were going to get rid of him, or you're gonna walk away with your head held high, which he chose. I don't deny they need a change, in my view, into the future. Maybe go a little skew younger. I'd go after TJ. We've talked about this, but the way they've played, they handled their business. Against Michigan State, against Purdue, against Penn State, against Washington and Seattle over the weekend, belly to belly. Now tonight they run into a different monster altogether in Eugene, and then they finish with Ohio State, who has been an utter pain in their ass over the years in Bloomington. How do you think they'll handle these 2 games, and will they get in or not? Right now I see them as an 11 seed.
Yeah, that's where I have them, and they need to split them at minimum. They will likely fall out of the field and would need a significant performance at the Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis to get in. If they don't win at least one of those 2, I don't think they need to win both, because most of the teams in that neighborhood won't win all the way out into their conference tournaments. So it's really important that they win one of the 2. The more obviously likely one is Ohio State at home, as well as the fact that if you do beat the Buckeyes, you're hurting your competition for those last few bids. You can't go out and beat Arkansas at this point if you're Indiana. That's not on the schedule. It's not going to be on the schedule. But Ohio State is there and available to be beaten this weekend.
All right, Mike, great stuff as always. Enjoy the rest of your week.
The Eagles got it done. If you back them, you're celebrating. Football season may be over, but the action never stops.
Are you ready for some baseball?
At SportsGrid, we're always in the game. We bring you 24/7 betting insights, expert picks, and real-time analysis. Next big play is already in motion. Are you ready? It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. So, but I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, there you go, Mike DeCourcy. He'll be at the Big Ten tournament next week on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Not this week, next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the Big Ten Network in Indianapolis. I'm a little surprised, Carver High, that SportsGrid isn't sending you and I to Naptown to watch the Hoosiers play in the Big Ten tournament along with Coach, so we could go on a 3-day bender in Indianapolis. I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, very surprising. Very surprising indeed. So there you go. Mike will be there, though, and Mike will be ready to go. So he'll have a good one. That Big Ten tournament going to be a lot of fun. Next week's the best week because I was already looking ahead. Like starting on like Tuesday, we have like 10+ games in the afternoon at these conference tournaments.
Fantastic.
Like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There's like noon games, 2:00 games, there's games in the afternoon
the following
sessions.
week, you and I are
yes.
We're live at the SportsGrid Network studios doing the Thursday, Friday opening 2 days of the NCAAs, and that is going to be hell bent for leather.
It certainly is, and yes, that will be a couple of weeks from now. When all of that gets going. Lots of goals here, by the way, in these Champions League round of 16 games. Real and Atletico tied 1-1 as they've been going. Arsenal up 3-1 on PSV, and they're not even at halftime yet. And Dortmund up 1-0 as well. So we got lots of early goals.
I love
flying.
the black and gold of Dortmund.
Yes, as they are out to a nice lead here. But this Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid has been obviously big rivalry game, both in La Liga, and now they're playing here in the round of 16. So a lot of fun in that. All right, let's get to all the things we have going today, and we'll start with the NBA. We mentioned this a lot at the top. Kyrie obviously finished, torn ACL, taken off the court last night. The Kings smashed the Mavericks, too. I think you had the Kings yesterday, right? Did you pick the Kings yesterday?
Yes.
Yes, you did. And they smashed the Mavericks in Dallas. So I wanted to give you this. Obviously, since making the NBA Finals 9 months ago, the Mavs look a lot different. Look at this. In fact, this thing says it's Christmas. Luka got hurt. Lively out indefinitely. Trade Luka. Gafford out indefinitely. AD out indefinitely. Kyrie Irving tears his ACL. They say season from hell right there on the tweet. And actually, I even just saw, you want to throw a little cherry on top of that, I actually just saw a report on Anthony Davis that said that they're kind of getting together and talking that he might not play.
Shutting him down. Shut him down.
Shutting him down, especially now that this Kyrie thing has happened. And they're just going to say, we'll see you next year. With of course, the abductor thing.
Can I just say again, like, I don't deny that when he's healthy, he is a brilliant big. He is an incredible 5 when he's healthy. He is all everything. He scores at nauseum, and he defends and rebounds and blocks shots. He does everything. He is incredible when he's healthy. The problem is that he's never healthy. And so I've called him peanut brittle on the show for 5 years. And I have never seen a guy as soft as him that's a big. Like, he's just always got something wrong with him. So for my money, I'm standing by that they got roasted on that deal. And people say, well, this is about the future. No, there is no future. He's only getting older. He's not going to be, less injured. What? He's going to get more injured as the years go by. That's all he ever is injured. His time is now. Nico Harrison thought in his ruminations that they were going to win the NBA championship this year because they went to the finals last year, and they got rid of the lazy, hookah-smoking, beer-drinking, fat Luka Doncic. And the mistake he made is that he got rid of one of the best players in the world. And he got a guy that's saltwater taffy. He's just constantly got something wrong with him. Now they're going to shut him down because of Kyrie's knee. Now that to me is as pee as it gets. Like, what they should do is run everyone they got out there and get him back, get Lively back, get Gafford back, and go for it. Like, what is this shut him down nonsense? That's how soft he is, that they're willing to say, you know what, this other guy blows his knee out, so what we're going to do is we're going to shut Davis down too, because he's a candy ass to begin with, and we're just going to give up on the season. And what we're going to do is we're going to raise our ticket prices 8 to 10% on our fans. It's almost criminal. This stuff is so criminal that, like, when you understand, they raised the season ticket prices yesterday, and then he blew his knee out. It's almost like they had it coming. They had it coming the way they're treating their fans in Dallas. So I hate seeing Kyrie Irving blow his knee out. I hate anyone with, as you know, the knee, the Achilles, the calf, ankles. I don't want to talk about it. Feel horrible for him that he's injured. But everything else in terms of Nico Harrison and his bad deals and they're raising ticket prices, screw the Dallas Mavericks and all of their problems. They had it coming.
Man, imagine the Lakers make the finals, like Luka made. Like, I mean, just how much.
Oh, they're going to the Western Finals.
I mean, it's just it can go. Like, it's worse right now. It can get worse. Like, if Luka goes and, like, wins a title with the Lakers,
it is going to get worse. It is going to get worse. And how about he went to the finals and lost, and then he goes to the finals and wins?
How do you think Clay's feeling right now, too? That he joined up on this bandwagon, getting out of Golden State and thinking he was going to be
Warriors are getting better and he's getting worse.
Thinking he was going to be like the missing piece guy.
He should have gone to the Lakers. Remember, his dad was a Laker, and his dad doesn't even love him anymore because he went to Dallas. He was his own man, but he turned on the family, and he turned on L.A., and he turned on the Lakers, where he grew up going to the Forum as a little snot-nosed kid, and then he stuck a knife in their back. He's got it coming, too.
The Eagles got it done. If you back them, you're celebrating. Football season may be over, but the action never stops.
Are you ready for some baseball?
At SportsGrid, we're always in the game. We bring you 24/7 betting insights, expert picks, and real-time analysis. Next big play is already in motion. Are you ready? It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Is that kind of helpful when it comes to preparing for a major? Is that you're just like 1 foot in front of you at this point?
Ideally come to a place here at Bay Hill where I've had good success in the past. I've only played it the last 21, 2, 3, and 4. But I've played it well, and I really like that we're heading there with where I'm at right now. I think it's going to tell me a lot.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, Carver High. Obviously, we're still talking NBA rack. That chaos in Dallas, you can have it. I'm not worried about it. That's their problem. Seriously, like they thought they had all the answers. So when you got all the answers, I just got to sit back and watch it all crumble. Like this guy, I mean to tell you, literally, I worry about his longevity. Harrison, seriously, like this has got to have everyone up in arms. Like they'll blame him for Kyrie's knee. They'll blame him for everything now in Dallas. They'll blame him for Cowboy playoff failures.
They probably will. That guy is going to become infamous.
Public enemy number one.
He is going to become. They're always going to remember that guy down there for the mess that he's made. All right, a few other things from last night. Warriors beat the Hornets 119-101. A few things here with Steph. Now, Steph rolled his ankle last night. You know, I was watching the second half because I had a little action on Steph threes. And, he was in there playing, but you could tell he didn't really have his same jump. You know, he was 3 for 9 from downtown. He only scored 21 points. You know how much he always wants to perform in Charlotte, being where his dad played and where he's from, etc. But he does think he's going to be good to go tonight for the Knicks. We'll try to get some more information on that before we move along. But here he is talking about Charlotte. He always wants the best for there.
You know, deep down, I'm always rooting for the Hornets, the Panthers, to see Charlotte, get excited, have, like you said, something to look forward to and, rally around. So I think going into the year, they had high hopes. I know injuries have kind of been tough, and they have some guys and some talent. Take a perspective of how they want to build, obviously, a new ownership. So I'm hoping that they can turn it around for sure. The city deserves it for sure.
Yeah, I don't agree with any of that. What like
high hopes
for his? I get it for his childhood and all that other nonsense. There's no other reason that they deserve anything. Well, what does that mean?
And then his brother's on the team and he gets no burn, right? His brother just sits on the bench the whole time.
His brother, you talk about feeling sorry for somebody. I feel sorry for that dude. Every time I see those two hugging, I'm like, the lost son, the one no one cares about. There he is. Like that guy, can you imagine being him? And you got a brother that's doing what Steph has done, and you're over there like, I'm surprised they give him Christmas gifts.
Yeah, he don't get a lot of burn over there on the Hornet bench. He don't get much, but he's playing it. At least he got to play for his dad's team, right? At least he's playing for Charlotte. I know Steph ain't never gonna get that. Remember what was that a year or two ago before he signed that big fat extension? Maybe he'll go home to Charlotte. He ain't stupid. Yeah. He stayed right where he needed to stay. They will move up to 6th in the West with that win last night. Of course, that is significant because it gets them out of the play-in tournament for now. And the Warriors altogether, as we know, since they got Jimmy Butler, they are 8-1 straight up. They are 8-1 against the spread. Last week, they were 30-1 to win the NBA championship. This week, they are 14-1 to win the NBA championship. So how about that for the Warriors title odds? In 1 week, they've been slashed in half.
Well, they're climbing it, aren't they, the ladder, and they're playing the Knicks tonight. And, I don't know what the number is off the top of my head because, the Knicks don't beat good teams. They got one. They're laying 5.5 to the Dubs, and that's because Curry rolled his ankle last night. But the only team they beat that's good, in my view, is the Grizzlies. Beat them by 1 last Friday night. To me, that's the first big win they've had. And to me, winning by 1 at Memphis is, okay, great. What else have you done for me lately? Do you really think if Steph Curry was healthy tonight at the Garden, he was going to drop a 35 burger at least. And with a rolled ankle, what do you think? Is he going to go or not?
I think he's going to play. I think that his minutes were kind of limited last night because they knew this situation. Kerr made it sound like he would still play. He has won 9 games in a row at Madison Square Garden. He loves playing at the Garden. He's looking for 10 straight wins there. So I expect national TV game. I think he's going to be let's roll tonight down there.
The Eagles got it done. If you back them, you're celebrating. Football season may be over, but the action never stops.
Are you ready for some baseball?
At SportsGrid, we're always in the game. We bring you 24/7 betting insights, expert picks, and real-time analysis. Next big play is already in motion. Are you ready? It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what?
circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.